Guess what? I hope you could read lips because I forgot to unmute myself. I needed more coffee before I got started. Anyway, good morning to you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. No, nothing's wrong with your sound. It was just me again with your daily blooper. Okay, that was my daily blooper. I seem to have those each and every single day, it seems. So, anyway, it's great to have you on board with me this morning. So, let's make sure we have our Java. Let's get started. All right, here. Whoops, didn't want to start that again. So what happens when you hit the mouse and then you accidentally hit your keyboard? Oop, there it is. So anyway, it's so cool to be with you this morning. And I love doing these shows for you each and every single day. And sometimes I'm like, what am I going to talk about today? You ever have that moment where, like, if you have a presentation or something you want to use, or you just need to communicate. Sometimes you don't know exactly what to say. And so this morning I was kind of doing some research and things. And then I thought, well, I've got nothing. So I went back to a blog I'd written. In fact, I'm going to repost that blog because it was on an old blog I used to have. And I thought, let me go look in the archives and see what I've got. So look for that on the my blog. It's at jkgconsultants.com/blog. That's where my blogs are at, is on our business page. And subscribe to our emails too. Like I always say, we don't spam you unless it's fried. Okay. So if you like fried spam, I'm your guy. I do love me some fried spam. Although I have stayed away from it for this whole week, I've stayed away from anything that's going to put an extra poundage around my middle because I'm in the Olympics right now, the Elvis Olympics. And I've been working out, exercising, eating right, eating less, drinking more water, taking the right vitamins and things like that. So I could be at my tip-top shape, my very best for upcoming, I'm going to call it the Elvis Olympics. Okay. It's an Elvis competition, but tribute artist competition. But all that being said, I do like me some spam. So probably next week, I'm probably going to bulk up again on some spam. I don't know. No, I'm not that bad, but but it is great to be here with you this morning. Let's get started. Today's topic was empowerment. Empowerment, unleashing potential and building a flourishing team. A flourishing team. Let me put an L where that should be. Caught that. Boom. Okay, so that was blooper number 2. We call that bloops. Bloops. I wonder if bloops is even a word. That's kind of cool word, I think. If you're doing a bloops, I blooped. There we go. So I've had 2 bloops this morning. I like that word. That may be a J word. I come up with a lot of them. So empowerment, unleashing potential and building a flourishing team. Leadership is all about building a team, creating a team, inspiring them, equipping them, resourcing them, empowering. That's always a hard word for me to say. I think it's because I'm from Texas. I don't know. Empowering. I always want to say empowering. It's hard for me to say, but empowering was really messed up. Okay, that's boops number 3. But how do you empower others? That's what leadership is all about. Real leadership is the ability and the position of authority that you have, that you can actually exercise opportunities, practices, what you know, how you can empower your people, because the people are looking to you. They're looking at their leader to empower them, to guide them, to resource them, to facilitate, to lead them. That's what a leader does. A leader just doesn't stand up there with their hands on their hips, and the only times their hands come off their hip is if they're drinking their cup of coffee or they're pointing their finger. That's not a leader, okay? People who stand in a power pose like that absolutely have no power, because the true power is empowerment. The true power is empowerment of others, and that's what leadership is all about. So, putting on some new glasses this morning. What do you think? You like them? I like them. I have a lot of different glasses. Kind of like, what's his name? Al Roker, right? Except his is pretty bright. All right. So empowering others. Um, my goodness, I can't say that word. So, before we get started on the first point I want to make in this, and I'll post the blog later. Jerry, woo, girl, it's good to see you. Hi there, Jerry. It's fantastic to see you, girl. Glad to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. And Catherine says good morning as well. So good morning to you, ladies. Thank you so much. And those of you watching on the recording, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. All right. So let's boom. Ba-da-da-da-bum-bum. That song's stuck in my head now. It's kind of a cool jam. All right. So empowerment. Are you empowering your people? And as all things leadership, also ask yourself, am I empowering my family? Am I empowering my peers? Okay. Leadership is all about personal life and those relationships we build. It's not just in the office, it's not just on the clock, it's in our presence, it's in our relationships, in connecting with others. No matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing, you're always going to be involved with people. Be the leader, be the leader, be the leader. Okay. No matter what environment you're in, be the leader. Okay. Be the one that others can look to for encouragement, empowerment, and inspiration. Be that person. So, empowerment. Great leaders don't just manage, they empower. I say great, not good leaders. They recognize that every individual on their team has untapped potential waiting to be harnessed. Today, we're going to talk about some of those points, okay? Some of the positive things that can create change in your leadership, okay? The first thing, and it's all about relationships, first thing is get to know your people. Get to know your people. Don't look at them as a a tool in the toolbox. Don't look at them as a part of the system. Don't look at them as a cog in the wheel or just a number. Don't look at them as a number. Okay, these are human beings we're dealing with. You, as a leader, used to be a human being, right? You remember back in the day before you took on the position of a leader, authority. You was once upon a time a human being. Here's a great reminder for you in case you may have forgotten this. You're still a human being, but you need to act like a human being. What do humans need? Humans need humans. Humans. Okay. So get to know your people. I love what John Maxwell said, and I've heard other leaders say this too, but the first one I heard say it was John Maxwell. So I always refer to him as the originator of this. Anything I hear that I've never heard before and he said it, I always refer back to him. You do it, I do it, we all do it. Sometimes I say, oh no, they said it. No, come to find out some other people said it too. But one thing I know is that as a leader, are you walking slowly through the crowd? Walk slowly through the crowd. What does that mean? Jay, what does it mean? Walk slowly through the crowd. No, it's not that, okay? What's walking slowly through the crowd is getting out of your office, get out from behind your desk, and get on the workroom floor. Go down the aisles, walk down the factory line, wherever your people are at. Go to the cubicles, okay? If they're in cubicles, connect with them. Matter of fact, I'd say if you can avoid it, if you have to have an environment where there's cubicles, get the short cubicles. There's short cubicles, so there's high ones. So the high ones hide you. Well, they got to come all the way to your cubicle to see you, and you got to stand up and walk out to look to see if anybody's around. Get the shorter ones. You could still put your little fancy little pictures up of family or a calendar or whatever, notes and things like that, okay, on a shorter one. But it gives you a chance to actually see people because we're designed for relationships and connecting, right? And as a leader, you want to be able to connect with your team members. So that means getting up out of your office. As a matter of fact, one of the greatest things I've seen is where a leader actually has their office in the middle of the people with their people so they can not only monitor the team members, and I've seen actually an environment where they put the supervisor's desk in the middle of the workroom floor because they wanted them to basically just crack that whip on everyone. Okay. Some people need the whip. Let's admit it. We work with people that we feel and know that they kind of need to be a cracked whip once in a while. But to be able to connect with your team members, to be available, accessible immediately when they need you. You see, when you put yourself in an office with a door, it's hard to approach you. People cannot approach you. It's hard to connect with you. So Get out there with people. So walk slowly through the crowd. Get to know your people. And there's many ways to get to know your people. And we're not going to go into great detail on that one. In fact, this talk is probably going to be a two-parter. But one of the ways to get to know your people is know the right questions to ask them from the very first time that you interview them. From the very first time you interview them for the position or the job, you want to know you want to ask these questions of them. And it's more than just what would they do for the organization and why are they working for the organization. Ask them about their personal life, ask them about their family, ask them about their medical needs, ask them about their future goals. Ask them about their hobbies. There are so many things that you can ask them. In fact, I've got an acronym called FROGS that I've used, and I don't know if I've done a video on this platform or not on that. So I'll have to go back and look. And if I haven't, then that would be a good talk here in the near future. But FROGS essentially is an acronym that you can use when you want to get to know somebody, whether you're networking or whether you're trying to connect, you're doing interviews, and if you're being interviewed, if you're the interviewee, okay, you can ask these questions of your interviewers, ask these questions of your leadership so you can get to know them as well. Leadership isn't about the position itself, it's about influence. And so you as a employee or a team member can have that influence with your leadership as well. So be the leader, okay? And let me get that off of there for a moment. There. So, that's one of the things in connecting with people. So frogs, let me just throw that at you real quick. Frogs, since I brought it up, I don't want to leave it cliffhanging here. But frogs, a great way to get to know people is ask these questions. Frogs is an acronym for it, okay? In fact, I call it frogs leap into relationships or leap into connecting or something like that. So frogs is F is family. Ask them about their family. Lots of questions fall under that. Recreation. Okay. What do they like to do for fun? What do they enjoy doing? What's their hobbies? Uh, um, Occupation, right? What do they do to earn income? Are they a privately owned business? Are they an entrepreneur? Do they work for somebody else? Also, an occupation. What do they want to do as an occupation? And the G is goals. What are their goals? What are their goals? What's their 1-year goal, 5-year goal, 10-year goal? What is it that they aspire to achieve and become? The goals, their aspirations, their dreams. What are these things? And then S, how do they serve? What are the things they like to do to serve others? And is it through volunteering at a local food bank? Is it by donating to a worthy charity? Is it serving their country in some way with the USO or the military? What are some ways that they like to serve, maybe in their church? So these are great questions to ask because it gives you an ability to get to know the person, know their heart, know their direction, know what motivates them and inspires them. And also it gives you an opportunity to look for gaps that you can help them to fill. Okay. And also another thing it does, and see, I'm giving part of the talk here really that I want to do in the future on this, but it really is about, making that connection with the people. Find the law of common ground. It's the law of common ground. Okay. Find that connection between you and them, right? That you can really communicate and connect with. Okay. And we can all find something with everybody really that we can make a connection with. Okay, so that's one of the things is getting to know them people. Start by genuinely connecting with your team members. Ask questions about their goals, aspirations, hidden talents. Understand what drives them and what they'd like to learn. By building these personal connections, you create a foundation of empowerment. Why is that? Well, because the people know you care. When you ask questions of them, they know you care. They know you care. And people want to know, do you care about me? Can I trust you? And there was one other one. I forgot what John said. But there's 3 things people ask. And I know that one of them is, do you care about me? And the other one was, can I trust you? And so number two, inclusivity matters. Now we hear the word inclusivity a lot lately. And I think it's almost to an ad nauseum, and sometimes it's taken in a way that is used as a weapon to beat each other over the head with. But inclusivity does matter if it's done without a political agenda. Okay. They've politicized the word inclusivity. They've politicized the word diversity. They've politicized equity and equality. Everything's politicized these days. Listen, forget the politics. Get away from the politics. Okay. You know, I think politics and media is ruining our country. And that's my personal opinion, may not be yours. But inclusivity matters. Ensure that everyone gets a chance to share their thoughts and their ideas. Avoid playing favorites based on affinity bias. Observe your team in action, noting their strengths and their interests. Provide opportunities for them to use and develop their skills. Okay. Bring people into the fold. When we're talking inclusivity, we're talking about bringing people into the fold, bring them into the meeting. When you have meetings, have a round table meeting, not a head table meeting. I've talked about this in the past, the power of the round table, not the head table as a leader. And there's a process to that as well. There's a strategy and process, I think, to just about everything I do. But there's a process and a strategy to bringing people in and let them be a part of the solution. You'd be amazed, leaders, listen, okay? You'll be amazed how much the problems you're facing right now with your organization, your team members have solutions. They have solutions. You need to tap into that because they're down on the ground. Their hands are in it, right? They're on the front lines. They have solutions. They know ways of doing things better that would save the organization time, energy, and resources. Think about that. So you need to get involved with your team members. You need to get them into the meeting and say, hey, look, okay, so here's the challenge we face, X, Y, and Z. Okay. I need somebody to come up with A, B, and C. Because right now we have X, Y, and Z. I need A, B's, and C's. And so I'm putting this on you guys so that you can bring to me your suggestions, your ideas, your thoughts. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a discussion at the next roundtable meeting. Okay. And let's solve this issue together because together we are a partnership in this organization. We are not an authoritarian dictate. We are a partnership of empowerment. And that's going to matter. So include your people into the discussion and the problem solving process. Okay. That's number 2. Okay. And let's see. Let's go to the third point in empowering your people. How do we empower and unleash the potential in building a flourishing team? Effective communication. Some of you may have thought about that very, very right off the bat. You may have thought effective communication immediately. Can you communicate in such a way that your people totally get what you're trying to communicate? Do they understand what the mission is, what the vision is, what the goal is, what the purpose is of all that they are called to do for the organization? Do they know this? Are you communicating your expectations in a clear manner? If you're a D type on the disc, on the Maxwell disc method, okay, I'm just going to just use Maxwell disc because that's what I'm certified to speak, teach, coach, and do the assessments on. On the Maxwell disc, if you're a D, okay, which is dominant, you're more direct. And as a direct and more dominant style of leadership, it's more like point and go. Okay. Do this, go. With very little details. You don't give as many details that needs to be done. Now, if you're a C, you're giving way too many details sometimes. If you're a high C, it's like, okay, can we go now? You can dominate a discussion and explanation as a C with too much information. Okay. And then you're going to really tick off the D that's in your crowd. Okay. They're like, okay, just give me the bottom line. Give me the points. Let me go. Let me do this. Right. If you're a D leader, and if you're any of those D, I, S, and C, most of us communicate, about 80% of us communicate on an S level. Secure, stable, give me the information I need, Give me just enough information that I don't have to come back to you for questions, but if I do, it's okay. You're communicating with care and candor. So that's why it's important to number one, know your disc style of communication and connecting, and then understand the disc styles of others on your team member. So you know how to connect and communicate with them, which means you got to modify, sometimes augment, sometimes alternate your particular style to connect with them. You may be a D, more direct, but if you're communicating with an S, you want to be more caring, which means you may want to ask questions. How's this make you feel? As opposed to, what do you think? Okay. I's and S's are more feel, and D's and C's are more think, right? Doesn't mean that the I's and S's don't think. It just means that they usually are more connected by feelings as opposed to logic. So you want to connect with them on that basis. But, excuse me, that's one of the things you can do to learn how to communicate and make that connection. You hear me talk about, when I talk about communication, you always hear me talking about connecting, always, because not everybody knows how to connect with others. They know how to communicate, but they may not know how to connect with others. If you're a high D talking to a high S, okay, your communication style is not going to be one that connects with that S. You want to connect where they are. Just like I talked about yesterday on that inspiring story, you want to really connect where they are. Don't expect them to connect where you are. Just because you're in the position of authority and leadership and responsibility, accountability, okay, doesn't mean that everybody now has to bow down to you. In fact, nobody bows down to you. If you're a real leader, I love what Jesus did. I love what Jesus did. One of the things he did is he washed the feet of the disciples. He washed their feet. And they're like, no, 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 no. You're not supposed to wash our feet. We're supposed to wash your feet, fall down at your feet. He said, no. Every good leader knows when they need to wash the feet of their people. Remember, leadership is not about being served. Leadership is about serving. Okay? If I could just sum it up in that, it's service. Service to others, service to your team members. Leadership is about serving. It is not about being served. Get that, leaders? Get that in your head. If that's not you, you need to really do some self-reflecting. If you really want to be a leader, if you really truly want to be a leader and not a boss, learn and understand this, practice it, become it. You are a servant to the team members under your charge. You got to learn how to communicate with them in such a way that you can connect with them. How do you do that? Well, you go back to point number one. Get to know your people. Get to know your people. Effective communication, empowerment, and thrives on clear communication. Encourage open dialogue, active listening, and transparency. When team members feel heard and understood, they become more engaged and motivated. Okay? So, what are you doing to connect with your team members? How is your communication? Are you including others in in as much as possible? And as much as realistically that they can be involved in. Because remember, your team members are the ones that really have the solutions. They have the solutions. They're just waiting for the leader to ask them and give them that encouragement and that faith in them. And I can promise you, leaders, if you got a challenge right now in your organization, talk to your people. They've already got the solutions. Don't you remember when once upon a time that you were a human? Remember when you were down on that level as a team member and you finally climbed your way up? Congratulations to you. But remember back in the day, you had an answer for everything that leadership was failing on, right? Well, they've got answers too. Now, some of them are pretty legit and some of them are just complaints. Some of them are complaints. We got armchair quarterback leaders in our midst. But the ones that truly have an investment in the organization and success, they'll come up with the ones that are totally legit. Say, hey, have you thought about this? Or I heard about this, or I read about this, or this is what I think might work. Can we try that? You need to listen to them. Now, you ultimately are the one to make the decision on which way to go. You're also ultimately the one responsible for whether it fails. If it wins, celebrate your team members. If it fails, take ownership. Remember, bosses, bosses will bosses will cast ownership. They'll cast blame. That's what it is. Bosses will blame others for the failures. Leaders, okay, uh, leaders will give credit to the team members for the success. Okay. So make sure to do that. All right. So that's what we're talking about today. And I'm going to come back with a part 2 tomorrow. So I hope you'll come back for that. It's some great information. And I'll have this in my blog, and I will actually wait to rewrite this blog and post it on my website at JKG Consultants, not consulting, consultants.com/blog. And so that'll be there. Probably we'll post that tomorrow after I finish this. And tomorrow might be a part 2, and I might have a part 3 early Friday morning for you. So I might break this into 3 parts. And then once it's done, I'll post the link to the blog. So empowerment, unleashing potential and building a flourishing team. What are you going to do to build your team? What can you do? What will you do? What are you capable? What do you people need from you? What do they need from you? All right, my friends, that's all I got for you today on the J Talk Morning Show. I'm so glad that you came and joined me today once again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, I'm so grateful for you to come and join. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching this on Facebook, go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. I would love it if you did that. I'm trying to build up my subscriptions on there, and then share it also. Encourage others. If you're getting something from these talks, these morning talks, other people in your circles probably would do the same, because we attract people more like us. And if we are struggling with something, chances are somebody else may be struggling with the same thing in their personal life or in leadership. Those are 2 areas I focus on. It used to be life, love, and leadership, right? I'm primarily focusing, and when I talk about love, it's relationships, but life and love. I mean, life and leadership. Life and leadership. All right. So until next time, my friends, God bless each and every single one of you. Let's get up, let's get out, and let's get at it. All right. Let's make a difference in someone's life, because somebody needs what you have. All right. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.